guys. Thank you all so much for joining us on the Relationship Real Talk Show. This is the first show of 2018. But look, we want to take some time out today to thank some people that have really been supportive to us. K Swan on Praise, you unplug with WJOU 90.1 FM. The fellas over at Sydney Cut Barbershop at 3000 Chapel Hill Road, Douglasville, Georgia. The host of The Forgotten Man by DeCarlo Turner on the Real 1100 AM. Also, my boy Melvin Bowden at Studio 1211 at 6405 Fairburn Road.
And we cannot forget our ladies at SOS Hairstyling Salon, Brooke and Britt, the powerful sisters off of Fairburn Road, who support us.
Right, guys. We just wanted to say publicly, we thank you guys so much for supporting us. And for all of the other people who've been supporting us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, we thank you guys so very much. And today, we have our girl, Rona Wade, the love doctor, on the show. She wants to talk to us today about the power of encouraging your spouse. So, Rona, please, what are you going to do with this one today?
What are we going to do with this one today? We're talking about the power of encouraging your spouse. Now, I said spouse, and I didn't just say husband or wife. You know, it's very important to encourage each other. You know, we have so much going on in this part of our lives with business, family, children, boss, you know, being a boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that, you know, it is so important to let our spouse know, I got you, I'm here for you. You're doing a great job. And a lot of time we tend to leave our spouse in the back burner and everyone else gets that encouragement, but our spouse is lacking in that department.
Wow.
Not taking care of home.
Not taking care of home.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is extremely important because all of us have a sense of we want to be affirmed in what we're doing. And if we're accomplishing some things, we want to see the ones that are closest to us, or we want to hear them say, you know, good job, or I see what you're doing, you know, and I can see how that can be very demoralizing if the one that you say you vowed your life to never encourages you.
Yeah, that's true because, you know, as women, you know, we tend to be there for each other. We're going hard for our girlfriends, you know, girl, you got this, you know, you work in those pumps and that suit, you're going to do great in that presentation.
Right.
I got you. Right after the presentation, she gets a call from her girl and, you know, she's there, you know, we got our girls and the guys, you know, they got each other back. You know, I got you, you know, you need us to go on this run, whatever it is, you know, but when we come home, all we get in is strife. And we're going back and forth, and that encouragement that we really looking for, even though you got it from your girl or you got it from that dude, you didn't get it from who you really need it from.
Right.
And that puts you in a different space.
You know, I often tell people this, you know, I don't really care what the rest of the world says about me, because the only people that really matter are the ones that are closest to you. You know, when they truly love you and care for you, I just believe the rest of the world will start to see that as well. Because it's hard for you to be two different people. If you're genuinely a good person in the realm of your family and your loved ones, the rest of the world will see it. So that's why it's important for me, you know, for my family to be supportive. That's why it's important to me for me to be supportive of my family members. Because at the end of the day, when all of this is gone, who is left? It's normally your family.
And Rona, I have a question.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to answer it for us. But why do you think, you know, those very same people that have the ability to encourage their girls or their boys, I got your back, why do you think when it comes to your spouse or your significant other, so many times those same individuals come up short?
You know, sometimes we take our partner for granted, I think. I think it has a lot to do with that. You think that, you know, oh, he got this, he's been doing that particular career, whatever it is, for so long, he got it. You know, you just think, you just assume that everything is okay, he doesn't need to hear it, he's good, you know. But we have to realize from the time our men wake up in the morning, they have so much against them to start with. They have demons going on in their head as they walk through the door. Society's against them. Everything is just hitting them left and right. So that alone should give us a little, a lot light bulb should go off and say, you know what? Maybe I might leave a little note in the car for when he gets in there to let him know you got it. I got your back. Today you're gonna be great. You're a strong black man. I know it. They just got to know it. Some kind of encouragement, any kind of encouragement that you can give. I'm big on little notes here and there that you can find where you don't expect to find it. You pull out your wallet to get your lunch for today, and there's a note saying, "Hey, babe, I'm thinking about you. I really appreciate what you're doing for the family." Little things like that. It may seem simple,
Right.
but it does something for our
And
men.
it could be a text message for people who don't get into writing notes. Nowadays with
Yeah,
technology, you can send all kind of little videos and pictures,
absolutely.
emojis,
Mhm.
things of that nature.
Mhm. Yeah, you can't. And if you can't think on words, you can find some quotes on Google. Just Google a quote and just forward it.
Just
Right.
about being intentional about it.
And
Absolutely,
for guys
absolutely.
as well too, because I know you guys are kind of covering this from a female perspective,
Uh-huh.
but for the guys, man, we can do the same thing for our women. If you have a wife or your significant other, and she's a hardworking lady, she's doing her thing. The same thing goes for us. Send her a card or send her an email or a text just to say, babe, I love you and hope you're having a good day. Just thinking about you. Things of that nature. It goes a long way with the people that we care about. But Rona, let me take a little moment here. I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the people that are logging into the Facebook Live.
Okay.
We have
Sure.
Heather Couch. Thank you so much for joining us. Travis Jones, Paulette Gates. We have Tansy. Hey, Tansy. We have Tamara. And of course, we had my brother Sean, and Navy buddy of mine, Mr. Wynn, and one of my good friends, Damon Holly. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And guys, again, feel free to either write in a comment, and if there's something that you want to say and you kind of want to go live, we're taking phone calls here, 404-939-1469.
Did you shout out Tamika Boatner?
I didn't see that one.
I see her online.
What's up, cousin?
I'll see you, Tamika. Appreciate the support.
Well, guys, look, for those of you who just logged on, we're on the air live with Rona Wade, aka the Love Doctor, and she's talking about the power of encouraging your spouse or significant other, for those of you who may not be married but you're real serious in your relationship. So, Rona,
Right. You know what, Jimmy? What some of us fail to understand is, a lot of times we do all we can to get this person, and we, put our best foot forward, show them the best. But then once they're settled, they have children. You have children. You're dealing with the bills. You're dealing with being a boss. You're being with your boss. Whatever the case is, we take it for granted that I got her already. Oh, I got the man that I wanted, and we take them for granted after that, not realizing that they still need that what you took, whatever it took to get them. They still need that from you, and like I said before, when we go out the door, we're dealing with the world. Most of it is against us, and unfortunately, even with our girls, a lot of us are trying to climb on top of each other, you know. We, she's doing this and I'm doing this, and we trying to be on top, and we're not encouraging each other. So we have that against us, and the men, of course, have society against them, like I said, because they're black men to start with. So if you have that at home, when you say, babe, I got you, you got this, I got your back, I'm here for you, you can do this, you're doing great. I'm so glad that you're supporting our family. That means a lot to me. he supports the family. That it's a given, but saying it is something different now. Hearing it from this woman that is at home and he has to come through the door and see you and hearing, babe, you're doing so good at your job. You like, that turns me on. The fact that you go out there, you work that hard. They love hearing things like that, and we should encourage our men like that.
Definitely. And Rona, as you were talking,
Hmm.
I love analogies, and I was just thinking about how we charge our phones every night, and you take that phone, and if you don't have access to continue to charge it, pretty much you're expecting that battery to take you through the
Mm,
day. So all day long,
mm,
that battery's burning, is burning, is burning. So
mm,
demands, like you mentioned, from work, from coworkers,
hmm,
from interactions with people. By the time you
hmm.
get home, your battery's on empty. And I think
Yes.
it's important to note here that if we are going to fill someone else up, we have to first
Hmm.
charge up. And sometimes what that means
Yes.
is not neglecting yourself, just like on the airplane. Put your oxygen mask
Hmm.
on first.
Right.
Then you can help
Yes.
somebody else. And so,
Yes.
if
Yes.
I'm being transparent and thinking about this thing, if I'm going to be in a position to give, I have to
Hmm.
get myself suitable, charged up again, whether that be through time alone, working out,
Hmm.
reading, sitting down, eating a bowl of cereal, looking outside, whatever it is it takes to charge up, we have to be willing to do that so that we can be in a
Hmm.
position to pour back into one another.
Well, when I
Yes.
was in the Navy,
Absolutely.
I met this guy who had been in the Navy for a while, and we called him Slim. And he told me something that I'll never forget. Actually, told me a few things that I'll never forget. But one of those things was, he said, the same thing you did to get them, the same things you need to do to keep them. And too often, some of us, we go through the rigorous trials and tribulations to win the heart. But once we have them, we go into this slum where, well, I got them now.
Complacency.
I don't have to
Yeah.
do the work that I did. They in love now, and I think that is one of the
Right.
most very destructive things or mindsets that we can have as it relates to a relationship.
Did you say he called you?
Yeah.
No, his name was Slim.
Oh, okay, baby. I thought you said he called you Slim.
Well, you know what? You're right, Jimmy. You're absolutely right. And I think we spoke about that in one of our last sessions when we were talking about, you dated that woman, you showed her the best of everything, and then life happens when you're married and you're dealing with so much, but you still forget to still, you know, date. That dating process is so very important to continue dating your spouse. Find that time. And a lot of time when you are doing that dating thing at least once a week, once every week, whatever it is, use that time to pour into each other. You don't use that time to talk about the issues that's going on at home.
That's
That's not for dating. You want to be free, you want your mind to be at ease, and you want to just enjoy each other.
right. Yeah.
And that's showing encouragement as well.
Because that dating is supposed to be quality time. That's
Quality
supposed to be
time, not
time
with your
you all are
children.
dedicating just to each other to
Yes.
strengthen your bond between each other.
Mhm.
And I do believe
Yeah.
that if you guys have something in common you like doing and you're doing that together, so let's say it's watching a particular TV show. If both of you all agree that that's quality time with each other, that's quality time. However, don't be one of those people who, just because you're in the same room, you think, hey, we're spending time together. And no, actually, if you're on your cell phone and I'm on my iPad, that's not quality time. We're not
No.
spending uninterrupted time with each other and having conversations or just holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes people really, really misunderstand the value of that quality time, which is also
Yeah.
something that empowers each as a couple.
Encourages
Yeah.
each other. And brought up a point about like when you do get together about the things that you talk about. But this
Mhm.
age, I'm 47, and a lot of my friends are at the point where their kids are in college, emptiness is starting to settle in. And as
Mhm.
you've probably heard as well, it's like after all those years of we got married, we worked on our careers, we're doing this thing together, we raised our children, saw them through school and college. Now they look at each other like, what are we supposed to be?
Who are you?
Right.
And
Like, who are you?
yeah, to be honest, all your conversations were about, the kids' homework, or who fixed their lunch, or did we write that check for this, or what's going on with this, and
Hmm.
what do we have going on? And I think the
Hmm.
contrast to that is when you're dating, most people, I mean, eventually, some people do live together, but for people who are apart during their dating, your
Hmm.
lives are set. Once you leave each other, you have your life that you're kind of leading at home, and he has his. And so when you do get together, you're still getting to know each other. You're having
Hmm.
interesting conversation. But I think we have to think about the fact that when you are with someone, especially when you're with them for a long time, you have to literally think about, how can we keep this fresh? How can we have conversations that don't slip into perhaps what's going on with the kids, or what are we going to do
Yeah.
about work,
Yeah.
or what have you?
And guys,
Yeah.
look, again, those
Yeah.
of you who are listening, if you want to make a comment, you have a question for the Love Doctor or for Rachel or myself, you can call in at 404-939-1469. Or if you just don't want your voice on the air, you can
Leave a
just leave us
comment.
a comment.
Yeah.
And we promise to get back to you. And again, for those of you who are joining us, thank you all so much for taking this time out just to join us. And hopefully you'll get something out of this that'll make your relationships a little bit stronger and a little bit better. Rona? So,
So, one of the things I would like to know is what are some of the things that some of our listeners have done, to show encouragement or appreciation for their spouse. You can probably leave a comment about, I do this and it works, or I do that and she really likes that, you know. Um, so because what one thing I think about, our children are very important to us, especially women. Well, they're
We're
important
the
to all
same.
of us, but we put a lot into our children as women. Um, and every morning, every single morning, we talk to them about, how they're smart, or you can pass this test, you're brilliant. From the time my son was young, we put something in him, and every day he says to us before he leaves, I'm a Christian man, I'm a strong black man, and I'm a Mauvais man. That's something he says it. It was put in him so long. This is what he says before he leaves the door. So we encourage them, and we build on them, and we pour into them, and their sports. I'm the loudest. I'm just gonna say
hey, Rona.
it. I'm the loudest when it comes to basketball, volleyball. So but our our spouse, and sometimes they look at these things, they don't say, especially men, they don't say much, but sometimes they see all that we put into other people as women,
Mhm.
but we don't do the same for them, and then it causes some riffraff sometimes in the home, because man, you're the one that I'm looking forward to saying something. I hear it from my boys, but I don't hear it from you. I hear it from, my friend's wife. I don't hear it from
Right.
you. And then we wonder why our men don't talk to us.
Right.
You know?
This is relationship
Mm-hmm.
real talk, and I'm just going to be real. And some people out there might actually be thinking about this, but let's be honest. When you're in
Mm-hmm.
that type of intimate relationship with someone, many
Mm-hmm.
times you hold that encouragement hostage because of something else that's going on in the relationship. You may feel like
Mm-hmm.
that person doesn't deserve for you to say anything because of the way they've been treating you. It could be a situation where it's a strained relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not pouring into me. I already tried pouring into you and that didn't work. I got a slap in the face. So I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
harness all my positivity to myself. Whereas when you think about your
Oh,
children, they didn't ask to be here. We tend to love them unconditionally. We chastise them, but still, we know that we're responsible for these kids. We're responsible for the type of person that they become. My husband,
mm-hmm.
I didn't birth him. So, what I got right here, this is a result of what his mom poured into him, right?
Right.
However,
She did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
however, I think it requires a lot of selflessness when you think about encouraging your spouse, because you have to look past any beef or tension that is between you two, because at the core of it all, you have your best interest, you have that spouse's or significant other's best interest at heart. So you have to kind of put that aside. You got to take get rid of the childishness and truly
Mhm.
encourage your spouse or significant other.
I was just saying that
Right.
it takes a lot of self-discipline to do what's right, even when you feel they're not treating you right.
Mm.
And too often, us as Christians, we fall under the same stressors that everybody else does. Sometimes our feelings, our emotions get involved,
That's
and so
right.
we're like, whatever, I'm not gonna, and we're not even
Self-preservation.
following the principles that we claim we live by. So
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
is hard. Those are real issues, and I'm glad you said that because the reality is there are some there are reasons why we don't behave the way we should at all times, right? There are reasons
Okay.
why, but we always have
Hmm.
to resort back to what our responsibility is. What is our
Hmm.
responsibility in spite of how we feel, we're being treated. But Rona, let me bring this out. Someone asked, your confidence drops with your spouse. Your kids normally don't reject you. That's what they said
That's a
concerning that.
very good point.
Yeah.
Right, and that is you're right because it doesn't matter. It's so true because you could discipline your child, and about 5 minutes later they're good, because your mom, your dad, But a lot of us as grown men and women, we harbor all those things in. You hurt my feelings. I ain't got nothing to say nice to you, and we hold on to it and forget that we first of all shouldn't go to bed mad. We don't always do that, so it just spills over to the next
That's
day. I,
right.
I remember what you said to me yesterday, or what you said to me last month, and
Right.
where's that going to lead us,
The last thing I want to do is encourage you because I feel discouraged.
Yeah, encourage you, and yeah. So that a lot of it is just plain selfishness,
Definitely.
and we just hold on to those things. It leads us nowhere, and then we find out months later, you arguing over the same thing because it was never resolved,
Right.
and and all that time passed by, and for what? For nothing. You just have this weight on your marriage,
Mm-hmm.
in your home, for no reason. So we want to get to the point where we make it a habit. You be intentional about it. And when you're being intentional about something, it doesn't matter how you're feeling. You're doing it because you're not doing it. You're doing it in spite of, I should say, not because. You do it in spite of. I may not feel like listening to how your day went
That's
today, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
You bring up such a
Yeah,
good point, Rona, because if you're not doing it, the enemy will have somebody else to do it.
I'm trying to
No,
tell
They
you.
call
if
them the
you're
cleanup man,
cleanup man,
help
cleanup
woman.
woman, side chick, side piece, baby,
I'm
whatever
trying
you
to
want to
tell
call them,
you.
if you get to the point where they don't feel, and this is male or female, like your
Yeah.
ears are a soft place for them to land about, talking about what they're stressed about or whatever the case may be, all it
Hmm.
takes is the right or wrong person at work or
Yeah.
somebody you're interacting with, in which, and the grass always seems greener on the other side because you don't have to go home with that person. This is not somebody
Hmm.
that you built a life with. So,
Yeah.
and when you're coming to them, they're only hearing one side of it, and that's a
Hmm.
one-sided story. And as a result,
Hmm.
before you know it, you can get pulled into this extramarital or this relationship outside of the committed relationship that you had,
Yeah.
simply because that person listened to you, that person encouraged you. I mean, women of the night who get paid, some of them get paid and they don't do anything but listen.
Listen, you'll be
Yeah,
surprised. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you'll be surprised. Sometimes that's all they do, and they get paid for it. But you have this woman at
that's
home
right.
that refuses to do that for selfish reasons. So that's
Or
why,
man.
um,
Uh-huh.
Right.
right, or man, well, I was going on your
Yeah,
scenario,
I
but
got
or man, that just harboring that, or don't find the time, or see the reason for some people, they just don't see the reason for doing
Right.
that,
Right.
like they just assume, oh, Oh well, I mean, she comes home, she cooks, she does homework with the kids. She went to the sport. I mean, she does that every day. So why do I need to tell her, oh, it's so great to see that you still find the time to cook for our family after doing all
Or
this.
some people,
But
that's what
sometimes
you're
she,
supposed to do.
right, well, that's what you're supposed to
Right.
do, not realizing like she's tired, but she still puts her family
Right.
first. So just letting her know, man, babe, this dinner was so good, and I know it was hard for you to find that time to put this meal together, and you still did it. I really appreciate that. That does so
Right.
much for you. That gives you a little extra energy
It
right there
does.
that you thought you didn't have.
You know what really gives you
You
energy?
know,
Because
so
sometimes you even have to know in what form that encouragement needs to take place in. Like, for example,
yeah.
for some women, it might be, I want to hear you say thank you for cooking dinner. For others, it might be, he went into that kitchen and started washing the dishes. He didn't even have to say a word about how good the food was, but the fact that he went in
Ah,
there
there you go.
and washed the dishes, that encourages me for next time when I am dirt tired
Hmm.
and I don't feel
Yeah,
like going in there and cooking, and I cook, I can
right.
kind of relax in knowing that he's got my back. That's a sense of
Yeah.
encouragement. So even knowing what that encouragement looks like for your
Mhm.
significant other.
Yep. And like for
Right.
men, I was telling my wife, we were having this discussion a while back. Sometimes for men, um, you just being physical with us, we don't even have to talk. When I've been stressed, just
Hmm.
just love on me, and
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
sometimes
Mhm.
it's not something you can resolve. So for us, it's like, why am I talking about it? You know what I mean? But all I need is just that stress reliever. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
be there for me.
Stress relief.
Mhm.
And
you're multifaceted. You have
Rachel, Jimmy
I,
have to go
I know
there
you gotta go there. And
every.
let me just tell you something, because at the risk of a woman feeling used, like, come here, my stress reliever. But here's the other thing too. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And sometimes you just want the woman to be there. But I know plenty of women just talking with friends and girlfriends. Like sometimes a woman doesn't mind doing that, but sometimes women also feel like it always has to end up in sex or something like that. If I start to do this, then the expectation might be this. And I might just really just want to sit here and, stroke your head or your shoulders. And it can end that way, but it doesn't always have to be an expectation of it ending that way. It's simply look at his face. Do you see his
Mhm.
face?
I see his face. I'm not even looking at Jimmy right
Thank you.
now. But you know what?
Take that.
It can actually start from the time he gets in the door,
Right.
right.
You give him that little space, and then he's in the couch in the living room, you rub his shoulder, babe, how was your day? And you listen. You don't want to just talk, but you really listen for how his day was. A lot of times we ask the question, but we're really not listening to the answer
Right.
Yeah.
because you can't wait to tell him what happened
Right.
Exactly.
with that girl at
Exactly.
the desk next to
Oh,
you and what she
oh,
did and how
Rona.
you have to go to the court. And
You're hitting on
you're the one.
exactly what I was thinking, because sometimes you have to be able to sense each other and realize whose story is most pressing or who needs
Mhm.
the encouragement the most at that time.
The
Because
most,
let's say he
yeah.
walks in the door with something on his heart, like, babe, guess what happened? But he walks in and sees me looking like distraught.
Mhm.
For him, if he's in tune, he's gonna be like,
If
hold
he's
up.
in tune, that's
Yeah.
you said it right there. You need to rewind on that one. If he is in tune,
Capital
that's
IF.
one of the problems we have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do believe that is important. Because once you
Hmm.
know your spouse or your significant other, you should be able to tell, even in their countenance, that something is wrong.
Hmm.
Their body
Yeah.
language is off. The way that they're sighing is off. And so
Hmm.
you should now refocus your energy to saying, hey, what's wrong? You know, but now let me just say this in return. If something's wrong with you and your significant other asks, don't follow up with nerd.
No.
Because guess what? Men are real simple. We're going to be like, oh, okay. And we're going to go about our
Okay.
business.
Maybe men are.
You're so right about that.
You gonna
Jimmy,
push
you're
it.
so right
That's
about
some
that.
men. I mean, I'm just going to ask, girl, did you hear me say?
I live with an investigator, interrogator, so he's not just going to take
You're
nothing
not
for
gonna
an
leave it
answer.
like that.
But let me tell y'all what Travis Jones said, and I think he's referring to when we were talking about, offering that touching support and how it can turn into sex. He says if women are consistent with it, the expectation will change.
And I agree with you, Travis. See,
Well, we got to define consistent. Because
consistent means regularly.
Right?
That's what
Okay,
consistent means.
let's clarify then.
Often.
For some people, their often might be once a week.
No.
For wait. For others, their often might be
this word up.
every other day. But when something is consistent, it happens around over the same period of time. But that time has to be identified. You know, what's consistent for you, honey? Because guess what? A month has passed and I'm straight. You know, for some people. Other people might be, last time was yesterday.
Rona, one of the things that we often laugh about is, how we try to redefine words.
There it is.
We don't like the real definition because that don't suit
Yeah.
what we really want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the definition of consistent is acting or done in the same way over time, especially so as to be fair or accurate. So if you do something regularly, I can expect that that's the behavior I'm going to get from you, right? It's consistent. It's not random. I don't know. Today you may say good. Tomorrow you may say it's not. So we talking about consistency. Travis, I'm with you, bro.
Rona, did I not say consistent could be once a week?
No.
Yeah, you sure did. But Jimmy's gonna. But Jimmy's gonna push that to the
Jimmy's
limit.
Once a week. What the?
He's gonna
What
push.
kind of
But you know what?
foolishness
I'm
is
gonna
that?
tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. I just recently learned that, and I've never thought about it. Is encouragement could come in a lot of different forms.
Yes.
And one thing I have to say with my health issue being a big challenge right now, just my husband saying, no, babe, you're not going in front of that computer to work on that magazine. I need you to relax. I need you to be good. I need you.
Right.
That is an encouragement in itself. Not that he's discouraging me from doing what I want to do, but he's thinking about my health.
And your future.
And he put that right.
Yes.
And that was an encouragement for me, but I didn't see that at first. I was like, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And he's in the meantime, your health is going down
Right.
and down and down. And I had to think about it, and I realized my husband is actually encouraging me
Mhm.
and not discouraging me, So encouragement comes in a lot of different forms, and we have to be willing to not only give the encouragement but receive it as well.
Exactly. I mean, and that's why I tell one of the commandments I had was being versatile in your relationship, understanding that versatility is required. Don't get me wrong. There should be some expectations I have based off of your pattern of behavior, right? But when something out of the ordinary happens, you have to be able to alter just to deal with that unexpected situation. You can't expect to still do that same thing when something critical has happened. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and so when your husband sees that your health is not well and you still trying to get in front of the computer, he's like, look, at the end of the day, who's gonna do the computer if you die?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Exactly.
be here for the family if you're gone? You know what I mean? So that thing is not the most important thing right now. Get your health right and the magazine will be right.
And you were willing to receive it because he didn't go over there and ask you. He went and told you, I need you to get off this computer because
he sure did.
About your health. And at that point, you realize this is coming from a place of concern.
She did. She did.
Yeah.
At first.
Well, at first, but I mean, ultimately, she listened to him because she knows that he loves her and he wants what's best for her, right?
But okay, I'm gonna tell you, especially when you're your own boss, you're the boss.
Right.
It's hard to really think about your health until something really happened.
Mhm.
And that's when I listened because something really
Right.
happened, you know, and I had no choice but to, but it's when and at the lowest, that's when I realized he's been trying to encourage me and not discourage me. You know, he saw, you know, he's looking at me. I'm not looking at myself. All I know is this got to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he can see, okay, you're not right. You got to put that on the side. So we have to receive those encouragement as well. I mean, and a lot of time I think as men as well too have to know, you know, take what she's saying as an encouragement. A lot of men reject stuff like, babe, I think you need to slow down a little bit. Sometimes he's not hearing I'm encouraging you.
Right.
Sometimes he's hearing you don't want me to
Or
do so so and
Told
so.
me, they might take it in a totally different way. It's like, no, I
Different
just
way.
really
Right,
care.
right,
And let me
right,
add this
exactly.
caveat in there too, because what you both said is very, very true. However, there's this other caveat that's there too. You have to make sure that on both men and from the woman that you're saying one thing, but your expectations are saying something different.
Hmm.
You can't be complaining about a certain lifestyle, but then when he's working to achieve that lifestyle, now you're like, well, you need to stop working so much. Well, then he can turn around or she can turn around and say, well, you need to stop wanting so much. I mean,
Mm.
otherwise, how are we going to maintain
Yeah, and that's
what we
fair.
have? You know what I'm saying?
That's
So we
fair.
got to make sure that we're covering both of those angles. But if it's genuinely, look, I'm looking out for your best interest, and there are no high expectations of achieving a certain lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we as men and you all as women need to hear that for what it is. I love you and I don't want to see you get sick, or I don't want to see you hurt, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
But at the
yeah.
same time, make sure that you haven't set this bar so high that if he slows down, he's never going to reach that level
Right.
that you've already put before
I
him.
think health and safety,
Yeah,
that kind of thing trumps everything, because
yeah,
none of
it
that
does.
will matter. Your
Mm-hmm.
computer, your magazine, what we're doing, none of it matters if you're not alive to see it through.
Right.
You know,
That is
it,
so
it
true.
does
Yes,
not matter.
absolutely.
I think about I always like to think about stories and analogies of, a storm is coming. It's a dangerous storm. And one person's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I got to stay here because I got to go to work tomorrow, and I don't want to. There may not be a work tomorrow,
right?
Because
Yeah.
the emergency is right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go now, and as individuals, we have to stop and think about those things. Rona, I do have a question for you. What happens
Mm-hmm.
when both individuals are discouraged and need encouragement? Because I've been watching, and some of you, I'm sure, have probably started watching it. It's a Netflix series called 7 Seconds.
Oh,
Pretty much,
yeah.
it's about a young black boy who gets hit by a car by a police officer, and they try to cover it up. Well, literally,
Mm-hmm.
what I thought was so impactful was the couple. They were like a church going couple. The father played piano for the choir, the mother sang in the choir, she was a teacher, and they had a strong faith and strong support system. Literally, as you go from episode to episode, you see
See, break it
a
down.
relationship erode, and you
Mm-hmm.
see them trying to keep it together. They both need encouragement. Like they barely have enough strength themselves to
Mm-hmm.
want to stay alive, much less tell the other person some encouraging words. What do you do
Mm-hmm.
when you both are in a bad way and need encouragement?
Well, what's hard about that is when you both are in that same predicament, no one sees that we need help.
Right.
You just know that, okay, I'm going through, and I don't want to hear it right now, and he is going through, and
I'm just trying to say,
what you're saying is not working
yeah.
right now. So the both of us are not thinking, okay, we need someone to help us. That's far from our minds right now. So sometimes it takes another person
Mm-hmm.
from the outside to look in and say, I think you guys really need to talk to someone. You need help. I think even in that that picture that you took reference to, the husband tried to bring in the pastor one time
Mm-hmm.
because he saw that the wife was spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't even want to listen to him.
That's
Right.
right.
You know, that makes it even harder because now if you're trying to encourage your spouse, they don't want to hear what you got to
That's
say.
right.
You bring someone else, they don't want to hear what they got to say. That puts you in an even more stressful
Dire-
situation, and we see how their marriage was just pulled apart because of that.
Right.
And so, like I said, sometimes it takes for someone else on the outside to say, you know what, Jimmy, Rachel, I think that you need to speak with someone. I have someone in place that, you can talk to. Just go and listen or
Right.
whatever, and sometimes you may hear that other person rather than your spouse at that time, because that is a more
Yeah.
difficult situation.
What I hear you
Hmm.
saying, and I'm glad you brought up this point, is that
Hmm.
as much as there is a responsibility to encourage your significant other, there's a
Hmm.
responsibility to receive the encouragement, because you may
Absolutely.
not want to
Absolutely.
receive it because of so many different factors, or
Hmm.
receiving it from somebody from the outside. But you got to be willing
Hmm.
to put your guard down long enough and just receive it, especially if you can sense it's coming from a good place.
Yeah,
Right, but I must say this. If you start that encouraging in the little things early and it's consistent, it may be received more when it comes to a more difficult time, because
Right.
it's something that
You've invested in
it's been
you've been
going
doing
on, right? And I'm gonna reference that same picture. You will see that a lot of times the mom was more the nurturer and everything, and he was more I gotta work
work.
to build all of
Right.
this that we
So the
have.
family,
So he wasn't in that involvement of encouraging her. He was busy trying to be the man and the husband, and keep this together, and get you in the house from the project and stuff like that. So, it's important that, and this is why we're talking about the power of encouraging your spouse. You have to start with little. You got to start with the little things. If you start and it's so consistent that my spouse got me. My wife, she has my back. My husband, he got my back. So in hard times, you're gonna be there for each other more than you might think,
and plus it
you
becomes a
know.
habit, and once
Hmm.
you do it enough,
Yeah.
you work
Hmm.
through those things with the small things, it becomes a habit. And now it's not as much effort because it's
Right.
natural now. It's natural for
Right.
me to wish you well when you're trying to do something. It's natural for me to recognize
Hmm.
that something's wrong with you. So now I ask, hey, are you okay? It becomes natural when you do it on a regular and consistent basis.
Hmm.
But even with the,
Right.
the picture that you all are referencing, as you notice, the movie didn't start from the beginning per se. It takes you
Hmm.
through the progression of their relationship. And one of the things that stood out to me with that particular couple that you're talking about is you have to live your life consistently by godly principles. Um,
Hmm.
and when they first introduced them, you knew something was wrong. You just didn't know what. But as it's
Yeah.
going, every episode, you're realizing that she's been lying to her husband for a long time about the
Hmm.
state of their kid. So that's been putting
That's
stress
yeah.
on their relationship. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
we have to make sure that we're not bringing in unnecessary stress to a situation
Hmm.
that makes it harder for someone to encourage you. When you're
Yes.
almost self-sabotaging your
Hmm.
relationship, it's like, why are you looking at me lying? You know what I mean? Why are you pretending
Hmm.
wrong? It's wrong. I don't care who it is. And
Hmm.
eventually what happens is when you do stuff like that, it brings hurt back to the very place you thought you were protecting. And so I,
Yeah.
I see that as, in in the power of encouragement, we have to make sure that we're not sabotaging the encouragement as well too. I think it's my
Hmm.
responsibility to cultivate atmosphere where Rachel would find it a little bit easier to encourage me, and
Hmm.
vice versa. She should cultivate an atmosphere where it's easy for me to want to encourage her, whether she
Yeah.
deserves it or maybe I think she doesn't. But I should be willing to do that
right.
by saying, hey, let me make sure that I'm being what I need to be for it to be easy.
Right. And you bring up such a good point,
Right.
because I think there are some men, not all men, but some men who feel a sense of weakness because his significant other has to encourage him. It sounds crazy, but it could be like, a thing of like, I got this. I'm the man. Don't worry about it. I can take care of it. And they're internalizing it, they're going to implode. But I think you said it well. Like, you have to be willing, especially if that person is your significant other or your spouse. You're supposed to be the most intimate with that person. And intimacy is not just sexual. It's like being able to feel safe and have a safe place and have that conversation without
Absolutely
of judgment, or like you're trying to fix me. Literally, this is what I'm going through. I want to know that you heard me and that you're just there for me. And sometimes being there is just sitting there quietly with your arm around them, or your hand in their lap, or shedding tears to show that you're empathizing with that person.
Yes, 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 and it's important for your spouse to feel that, because if they don't feel that support from you, they're gonna pull away from you, because like, okay, so what I need right now, you're not giving it to me, so right now I don't want that. I don't
Right.
want you get up my face, and that's gonna be the kind of thing you're gonna be receiving. And on the other end, if your spouse is pushing you away, you're feeling like, okay, fine, well,
Right.
I don't need to be, I'm good. You're the one with the problem. Then we go back to
walls
that
go up.
riffraff.
The repetitive cycle
Yeah,
starts to happen.
yeah,
It's
absolutely,
a crazy,
absolutely.
crazy circle that keeps going. But Rona,
That keeps
I
going.
really do appreciate you bringing up this topic of the power of encouraging your spouse, because a lot of us need that. We need to be reminded. And I often hear people, and even experience it in my own life, when we get so busy with the day-to-day things in life, we forget. We allow life to control us rather than us controlling our lives. And I often say this: God gave us dominion over that stuff. And a friend of ours told us something that resonated with us. He said, "Simplify life to overcome it." If your life is already complicated, you're not meeting the needs of your spouse, and your needs are not being met, why do you keep adding stuff to your plate? It makes no sense. Simplify life to overcome it. And so now, once you have, cut away all of the unnecessary stuff, and sometimes we have to be careful with being overly ambitious. We want so much until we're not realizing that we've lost.
At what cost?
We've lost sense of what's most valuable to us. Because, if you're that person that's seeking a lot of money, and you spend years and years and years and years chasing this money, and once you finally get it, you realize, no, there's no one with you.
I'm by myself, or I've ruined all kinds of relationships.
Nobody wants to be around.
I got the money.
But I have that money, and you discover that that money really doesn't make you as happy as you thought by yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. It does some things, but it does not bring you the happiness that
you think it would.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we just got to know that this encouragement, that our spouse need, the wife, husband, that helps them to overcome whatever obstacle they're facing. It helps them to face the world, face, the career, face, everything that will come against them. It helps them to face that thing and move forward, knowing that, okay, this very important person in my life have my back. At least I know that, and that's what we need. That's what our husband needs. That's what the wife needs. So we need to, make this a priority, to put it on top of your list, just like we talked about communication, and we talk about the love languages. We talk about all those things, but put encouraging your spouse on top of that list, because it will help them throughout their daily lives.
Amen. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us again on the Relationship Real Talk Show. But before we close out, this is something we like to do. Rona, please tell us what you have coming up in the near future, because we know that you have 10 jobs.
Really?
I work 10 jobs.
You're CEO of the magazine, the wedding planning, the You have about, I mean, it's like 8 jobs.
Counseling.
Yeah,
Yeah, counseling. You do the
and I'm not a,
counseling.
and I'm not a Jamaican.
No, but you're from the island, so it's all wrapped up together.
So tell us,
Well,
Rice,
yes,
rice, and
you know.
peas.
what do you have coming up so we can look forward to it and start making plans to get you promoted?
Yes. Yes, so I do have a couple things. Although my magazine was put on hold for a second because of my health, that is coming out soon. That is my destination wedding issue. So by the end of this month, that issue will be out. I also have a reunion concert, a group that I sing with, Signature Sound. Our reunion concert is April 14th at 6 o'clock at the West End Seventh-day Adventist Church. We're going to have some great guests like um, Karen Clark Shared and Beverly Crawford is going to be there. So come on out and support. It is free. It is free. I
Free.
am going to be,
You just do
yeah,
now
it's going to
when you
be,
said free.
right. This one is going to be hard to support me because I do have a conference that I'm going to be speaking at. I'm excited and nervous at the same time, but I have a women's conference in Jamaica
Mhm.
that I was invited to speak to for entrepreneurs. So
Nice.
Need any
preparing for
let
that.
Rachel
I
know
was just
for that
gonna
Jamaica
say,
trip.
if,
That is going to be in
if
May.
it's a women's
So,
conference, it's only women, so
I don't need to go to the conference. I just need to be on the island.
you just need to go on the trip.
Right. I just want to be on the
you
trip.
must get a passport.
Just want to go on a trip. Yes. So, come on. Also, let me say this. I do have an invitation line that I started that is going to be out in a couple months as well.
Yes,
So I'm
she didn't have
excited
enough to
about
do.
that.
You said an invitation line.
Right.
So
Wedding
now,
invitation.
now we
Yes,
on
I
job
wouldn't
12.
line. Yes, yes. So I'm excited about that. Very. I cannot wait to really introduce that to people. So
That is all.
it's going to be great.
Well, guys,
Yes.
Rachel and I have been really blessed with traveling and preparing to do more relationship conferences. And look, in the near future, something that's being worked out behind the scene for our Huntsville family. We're going to be heading your way here. We haven't made a date yet for an upcoming conference that we're going to try to promote for the Huntsville area. So Madison Mission, Oakwood Church, First Church, and all of our fellow sister churches that may not be Seventh-day Adventist churches. We're going to be reaching out to you all because we're going to do something for couples. We want to have some type of a couples conference where we can help build up God's kingdom through the marriages in the church, because we are getting a lot of information that marriages are really under attack. And I'm talking about the marriages in churches. And so we want to help build God's kingdom by building the marriages up in our very own community so we can now be the light for the world.
That's right.
So guys, again, we wanted to thank you all so much for joining us on the Relationship Real Talk Show. This is your boy JDR.
And this is Rachel Rogers.
And with the Love Dr. Rona Wade, we want to thank you, and we look forward to seeing you all again. And until next week, peace.
Have a good one, guys.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.